In order to effectively promote personal growth, you will learn how to be more conscious of your thoughts, feelings, and behavior after reading this book synopsis for How Am I Doing by Dr. Corey Yeager. Introduction. Why should I care? Learn more about yourself and strive to become the person you want to be. Whether you like to admit it or not, you have probably done it before. You may have pondered whether you were crazy for doing it because it does seem a little trippy. But guess what? Absolutely nothing outlandish about it. Talking to yourself, or those insignificant ideas and remarks you have, is just as healthy as speaking with a friend or therapist. There is more to those internal monologues than meets the eye. They provide a safe environment for you to go deep and discover your true self. And that's precisely what this analysis of Dr. Corey Yeager's How Am I Doing? Attempts to do. This summary gives you a roadmap for increasing awareness of your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors so that you can successfully promote personal growth. It includes 8 of Dr. Yeager's 40 questions. You can obtain the clarity and confidence to make better decisions and mold your life any way you see fit by having these discussions with yourself. So, settle in and have a conversation with yourself to start your path of self-discovery. Key Concept 1. Who do you value most in your life? Have you ever given your life's most significant individual any thought? Has your mother taken care of you since the day you were born? Maybe your husband, who has given up a lot for you. Or your mentor, who saved you from ruin and helped you become the person you are today. If you're like most people, that's probably where your response falls. The problem is that such an answer is incorrect. There should only be one important person in your life, regardless of your age or past experiences. You. Nobody should be valued more than you do yourself. Yes, it does sound self-centered to say that. After all, shouldn't you prioritize the needs of others over your own? You must keep in mind, though, that an empty cup cannot be used to pour from. You won't be able to care for others if you can't care for yourself. They require sincere love and care, which you cannot provide when you are depleted. You should never feel bad about taking some time for yourself because of this. If you can, set aside an entire day for yourself. It won't be simple to do overnight, particularly if you are wired to give people priority. However, you can always move cautiously. Keeping track of the instances where you placed yourself first and the ones where you hesitated is a useful technique. At the conclusion of the week, think about this log and how you may make adjustments. There will undoubtedly be instances where you must put others before yourself, such as when you assist an elderly person with their groceries or stay up late to care for your sick father. However, you must be aware of when you need to take a day off and disconnect from everything. How would you describe your wildest dreams? You discover you have the wildest dreams when you give it some serious thought and allow your imagination to wander. You envision yourself as a scientist who spends his or her days at the beach swimming. Or maybe you're so passionate about color that you want to launch your own paint company. You could adore watching performances in the theater and wish you could get paid to do so all year long. Though they are outrageous, these are the kinds of dreams that you typically don't hear about. Nevertheless, they are not implausible. If you set your mind to it, you can accomplish them in no time. You must first confirm if your dream is one that can be fulfilled. Consider finding a different ambition if you want to lead Google but don't really care about business or engineering. Perhaps take over as CEO of your company? After you've reduced your ambition to a manageable size, it's time to outline the macro and micro objectives that will help you achieve your ideal. The big picture is made up of macro goals. They are goals that you hope to accomplish in around 5 years. Micro goals are small actions you can take right away. They are activities that support your overarching objectives. You can begin taking steps to realize your wildest aspirations once you have clearly defined your micro goals. Keep your macro goals in mind as you adhere strictly to your micro goals. It also helps if you focus your dreams on the things that make you feel the happiest and fullest. Make sure your dream and your passion are in line. If they are not, you won't be driven to pursue it. Get a job in technology if you enjoy creating something out of malfunctioning gadgets. Create a soap company with your individual flair if you enjoy manufacturing soap. Pursue the things you adore. How long do you gaze into the mirror for? You must really detest mirrors. They display to you the unsightly imperfections on your cheekbones and the recent pimple on your nose. People believe you to be vain and just concerned with appearances if you frequently gaze at one. So you steer clear of mirrors whenever possible. Mirrors, on the other hand, ought to be your best pal. They are the most effective means of transforming yourself into the person you desire. When you look in the mirror, you can see a whole other version of yourself with a bigger perspective rather than the real you. You can assess your values, discover things about yourself, and bring your inner self to the surface by talking to this person. For instance, all you have to do is stand in front of the mirror and ask yourself which path you want to choose when presented with a decision between your child's performance and your early morning business trip. The person in the mirror usually has the solution. They consider the bigger picture and the other parties involved. You'll also come to the realization that, while you can always change a business meeting, you can never take away your children's recollection of you leaving them behind at a significant event. Treating your reflection as someone new at first can seem strange and out of the ordinary, but once you begin doing it every day, you'll soon get the hang of it. You'll shape yourself more into the role you actually want to play the more you examine yourself in the mirror. If speaking to yourself in the mirror makes you uncomfortable, you may always start by simply observing yourself and reflecting on your feelings toward the person in the mirror. After that, you can start to express yourself. Discuss your issues, how your day was, and what might occur tomorrow. You'll quickly come to understand that you have always had a friend in yourself. Key concept number 4. What chances for freedom do your weaknesses offer? Imagine approaching a stranger on the street and inquiring about their weakness. Do you believe they would answer? Most likely not. They would probably glance away and have a perplexed expression on their face. That seems reasonable. Because they are humiliated and don't want others to think poorly of them, people don't typically prefer to disclose their flaws. Instead, they make every effort to conceal it and keep it away from the public. However, you're not advancing yourself by hiding your flaws. You're merely holding back your development. Let's say you don't cook well and don't want your partner, a Michelin star chef, to find out. To impress them and give the impression that you are an expert cook, you study all the recipe videos you can find online and memorize every term related to cooking. Yes, you've undoubtedly picked up a few new skills. But in the end, you put in 5 times as much effort when you could have just spoken clean about your inability to cook. You might have easily learned from your spouse, and you wouldn't have needed to spend all that time and effort hiding your flaw. However difficult it may seem, summon the guts to own your frailties. You can be freed from the stress they have been inflicting you by doing this. Having individuals who can support you through your weaknesses also makes it simpler to overcome them. These people are frequently kind-hearted and realize your potential or are experts in fields where you now struggle. Along with acknowledging your weaknesses, you should also consider your strengths and keep an eye out for those who can benefit from your advice. They may also find that you are what they need to overcome their weaknesses. Key concept 5. Do you know what makes you angry? On a Friday morning, you enter your office smiling. Then, your significant other texts you to ask for a rain check since they have to cancel your dinner date later tonight. You're irritable all day and unable to perform adequately. You stop to think after returning home. Or were you just dissatisfied, not truly angry? A secondary emotion for disappointment, grief, or any combination of the two, rage is most frequently the case. You cover up your disappointment at not winning the game with rage. You cover up your sadness over your pet's death with rage. The fact that it's virtually always simpler to let go of causes it to become a surface-level emotion. You are free to scream at someone, smash a wall, or use any foul language you like. However, you must delve deep to find out what you're really feeling in order to experience the emotion fully. You need to understand the source of your rage. Then you'll be able to decide what has to be done to lighten that heavy feeling. But how do you pinpoint the source of your rage? Start performing this little exercise right away. Stop what you're doing as soon as you notice that you're becoming upset. Think about your feelings and the reasons behind them. If rage is your first response, consider what else might be going on. Most likely, it is either grief or disappointment. If you think the emotion you're experiencing is just anger, mention it in your journal. Note the specifics of what occurred. Every time you feel like anger is your main feeling, take this action. When you have a sufficient amount of information, you may start looking for a common thread in these cases. Your fury may have its origins there. Then, you can take steps to reduce, if not eliminate, that primary cause. Key concept number 6. Name one past experience you'd wish to modify, and explain why. You discover a time travel device that can transport you anywhere at any moment. When you finally understood what it was, the first thing that came to you was the one instance in your history that you wished you could alter. It was probably the time you slept in and skipped a crucial entrance exam for a university. Or when you declined a job offer abroad. Or the time you decided to get married in defiance of advice from friends and relatives. Admit it, you wish you could change one memory from the past. Each person does. But no matter how hard you try, nothing you do will ever be able to undo what has already happened. The work is finished. Do you know what you could do, though? You might recall the past not for what might have been, but rather for who you became as a result of it. You became the person you are now as a result of the people and events that came and passed. Your current values were given to you by them. Although you may have chosen the wrong spouse, the experience taught you how to better appreciate yourself. Although you didn't land your ideal job, you did realize how crucial it is to take chances and seize opportunities when they present themselves. Even though you may not yet be aware of it, everything that transpired improved you. Yes, what has already happened cannot be changed. The future is something you can alter. Don't let a prior error compel you to stop writing your narrative. Write more about the future you desire. Writing to your former self could be able to help you move past your anguish and denial if you're still struggling with the losses you suffered. Thank your former self for all the effort they put forth so that your present self may benefit. Tell them how wonderful life is right now and assist them in realizing the advantages. Principle 7. What is the one error that you have learned the most from? You're lying if you say you've never made a mistake in your life. No matter how good, cautious, and obedient you are, you will still make mistakes, whether you plan to or not. Mistakes are an unavoidable part of life. It can happen at any time and anywhere, and while it cannot be undone, what happens next is what matters. This typically entails taking responsibility for your actions, making amends to everyone you may have offended, and committing to change so it won't happen again. Although it may seem right to do so, these straightforward procedures merely scrape the surface. You shouldn't only resolve to perform better the following time. It doesn't mean you won't make the same error again. So how can you effectively handle errors? By recognizing the underlying causes of them. It's critical to take a comprehensive approach to the error as well as the events that led up to it. Be honest about what you did as soon as possible after making a mistake. Explain everything that occurred in exact detail. The next step is understanding, which follows. Now is the time to reflect on why the error occurred the way it did. List the items you did or didn't do the previous day. Even a few months in the past are possible. The final stage is to forgive. Ask for forgiveness from the offended party as well as from yourself. The final step is to express gratitude. You should be grateful that you made the error, since you would not have learned a crucial lesson if you hadn't. You wouldn't discover who you are or pick up fresh information. While errors are unsettling and painful, they also signal growth. Be brave and make them, then. What can you do in 23 seconds? Is the 8th key notion. You undoubtedly know at least a few things that you can do in a minute if asked. You can perform 15 jumping jacks, guzzle a glass of water, or climb a flight of steps. However, what if you cut that 1 minute down to 23 seconds? Now, what can you do? Normally, if you were told you just had such a short timescale, you wouldn't bother doing anything. After all, you wouldn't likely complete anything during that time. So you waste that valuable time by doing nothing but staring at a wall or lazily scrolling around social media. Although 23 seconds may not seem like much, if you know how to use them well, they can actually be very beneficial to you. Those 23 seconds are enough time to make plans. Actually, setting intentions is merely a fancy way of committing to your principles and goals. Thinking about your next intentional action can help you get closer to your goals and the person you want to become. Let's apply it in real life. Imagine that you are about to speak in front of 500 people on stage. Don't just tensely stare at the clock as it ticks away in the 23 seconds before you speak. Pause, refocus, and consider how you would communicate with your audience while giving your discussion. Set goals for the upcoming hour or so. This trick can be applied in your own home. Avoid aimlessly watching TV in the 23 seconds before your extended family comes for a gathering. To calm yourself and keep your emotions in check, take a deep breath. By doing this, you get yourself ready to be more attentive when they arrive. It will be easy sailing from there if you set goals for the day. Final thoughts. Listening to your inner self and pondering on any questions you may have been ignoring will help you better understand who you are and what you want to become. You must begin by speaking to yourself if you are sincere about wanting to grow in self-awareness and make significant changes in your life. Go through Dr. Yeager's 40 questions to help you become more aware of your current, past, and future behavior. If you're interested in learning more about your ideas, behaviors, and personal development, click the link below to purchase the book. Thank you for viewing.